In the summer of 1976, four friends paddled deep into the remote wilderness of northern Maine. They went in search of quiet, of fish, of the simple calm of an untouched lake. But what they found out there, under a star-filled sky, would become one of the most chilling and credible alien abduction cases ever recorded. 4 witnesses, 4 identical stories, no motive to lie. And decades later, their memories still match. This is the terrifying true story of the Allagash Abductions. The year is 1976. 4 men in their 20s, Jim and Jack Weiner, Charlie Foltz, and Chuck Rack, set out for a 2-week camping trip into the heart of Maine's Allagash wilderness. They were experienced outdoorsmen, art students, adventurers, not men prone to superstition. Their plan was to canoe from lake to lake, to fish, to enjoy the isolation. The Allagash region is beautiful, but remote. No towns, no highways. Just dense forest, cold lakes, and miles of silence. They didn't know that this silence was about to be broken. On their second night, camping near Telos Lake, the men began to experience the first sign that something was wrong. As they cooked dinner over their fire, Chuck noticed a glowing sphere rising above the distant tree line. It wasn't a star. It wasn't a plane. It was moving, too deliberately, growing, too bright. The orb glowed white and yellow, pulsing softly, watching them. Then, after several silent minutes, it faded away. The men shrugged it off. A weird light in the woods is unsettling, but not enough to ruin a trip. They went to sleep. But that was only the beginning. By the 4th night, the men were camped at Eagle Lake. The weather was calm. The night was warm. Perfect for night fishing. Using a bright lantern to attract fish, they paddled into the middle of the lake. The water was perfectly still. Then, they saw it again. The same glowing orb, but much closer. It rose above the tree line like a miniature sun, a sphere of intense white brilliance. But there was no sound of blades, just a metallic hum. The light started moving. Straight toward them across the black water. The men began to panic. The orb accelerated, faster than any aircraft they'd ever seen. The men paddled desperately. The canoe rocked violently. Charlie screamed at them to paddle harder. Chuck nearly dropped his oar, but it didn't matter, because the moment the light reached them, it opened. A massive cone-shaped beam shot out, a perfect circle of white energy, and it engulfed the canoe. For a moment, everything went quiet. No sound, no waves, just blank. Then, instantly, they were back at shore, but nobody remembered paddling there. The men climbed out of the canoe, shaken, confused, exhausted. But something was horribly wrong. Their lantern, which had enough fuel to burn for several hours, was completely empty, as if an entire night had passed. Yet they had only been gone, maybe 15 minutes. The feeling in the group became clear. They had experienced missing time. Still rattled, they returned to their camp and sat in silence. None of them slept. None of them spoke. They didn't want to admit the truth, that something impossible had occurred. The trip ended. The men returned to their normal lives, but the nightmares began immediately. Each of them dreamed about strange rooms, metallic walls, long, thin creatures with large heads, a blinding white light, and a cold, clinical feeling of being examined. For years, they kept the dreams to themselves, but they all matched. 4 men, 4 identical nightmares. They had experienced something together, whether they wanted to believe it or not. By the 1980s, the nightmares became unbearable. The men sought help from psychiatrist Dr. Raymond Fowler, an expert in regressive hypnosis. What emerged from these sessions would shake the UFO community. Under hypnosis, all four described the same experience. The beam of light had pulled them into the craft, completely against their will. Inside, they were separated, terrified, unable to move. Thin, spidery figures, bug-like elliptical eyes, turkey wattle necks, and long, billowy arms with thumbless hands. The beings examined them with strange instruments. They communicated telepathically, not with words, but with feelings. Fear, curiosity, cold detachment. One by one, the men were laid on metallic tables. Needle-like devices approached their skin. Bright lights surrounded their vision. And when the procedure was over, the men were placed back in the canoe and expelled toward the shoreline in a beam of white light. Every detail matched, recovered separately. Skeptics argued hallucination, but there were problems. The canoe had physical damage matching their hypnotic accounts. All four passed polygraph tests. Their nightmares started before they ever shared the story. The lantern did burn out impossibly early. Eagle Lake had a history of strange sightings. Even Dr. Fowler, a skeptic, said, "Something traumatic happened to these men." Over time, the four men drifted apart. Life carried them in different directions, but something connected them forever, that night on Eagle Lake. Interviews decades later still match the original details. None recanted, none profited. Their stories remained perfectly aligned. Even in old age, Jim Weiner said, "We were taken. I wish it wasn't true, but it is." The Allagash abductions remain one of the most compelling UFO cases in the world, because it didn't happen to one witness, or two, but four men, all describing the same terrifying event in perfect detail. Were they truly taken aboard a craft? Or is there something about the Allagash wilderness, something in the stillness of those deep, black lakes, that we still don't understand? Whatever the answer is, the night those men saw the light on Eagle Lake still echoes across the Maine wilderness. And it leaves one haunting question. If it happened to them, could it happen again? If you enjoyed this deep dive into the case of the Allagash abductions, let us know. Like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more unsettling true stories. Until next time, keep your eyes on the skies